Hello, beautiful goddesses. I'm Belle from Autumn Crone, and how are you? And welcome to our space. So here we support and guide women with getting connected and staying aligned to their intuition, their mediumship abilities through spiritual practices. So in today's video, I have notes. I have to have notes because perimenopause brain, I forget things, or I'm very passionate about what I do and I go off on a tangent and I get sidetracked. So this is to help keep me on track. So, and make sure I get the points out that I really want to share. So today's video is about what is intuition. So and a bit about it and that. So everyone has an intuition. Some of us are more connected to it. Some of us need to work more at connecting with it. Some of us it just comes more easily. But it's really about, you hear those gut feelings. What does Google? I always like to look at what Google says about what things, Google's definition of it, because one thing I really learned, well, I've learned a lot of things, but one thing I do know is Google or a dictionary can have a meaning to a word, but we all, due to our own uniqueness, our own experiences in life, we can all have different attachments to that word, to a particular word. So some people can be triggered by some words. Some people can, even though a word might have a certain definition, people can take it when people say that word in different ways. So it's always, one thing I really find with miscommunication is just that, is the attachment people have to words. So for example, a word that is fine, means okay, it's fine, it's all good, but they say that when women say it, it means that it's not okay. So it's kind of like the word means okay, but there's an attachment or a different meaning or a different experience with that word. So I know when I say fine, I mean it's fine, it's okay, it's all good. I didn't grow up that way. I grew up when a parent said fine, it was anything but fine. And it's really associated with a lot of women that is the case. So like another one is whatever. Like I normally, when I say whatever, especially in passionate conversations, it generally means that I've reached a certain point and I'm on overload and I'm at a limit and I'm like, my brain's short-circuiting and all that sort of stuff. Some people say out of frustration. Some people, when they say that is it, they're pissed off, they're annoyed, that's it, and end of conversation. I find in conversations with people, asking them, so what does that word mean to you? What do you associate with that word? What comes up for you with that word? So it can be really interesting to unravel those things. It can give you a really deeper insight to words and communication, and especially miscommunication. Especially a lot of people can argue or have passionate conversations about something, but when you break it down and go, but what does this word mean to you? What does that word mean to you? And they're on different paths. They're on different levels. And then you go, oh, no wonder you were taking it that way. Oh, no wonder I was taking it this way. It's because there is that personal meaning to a word that can be misaligned. So it's really good. So in conversations, try going, what does that word mean to you? And even, question yourself, what does it mean to me? Is it the same as somebody else? And it's not about, it has to be the same for everybody. That's not going to happen. We're a diverse world and that, but it helps to give that more understanding. So back to Google. Google says it's the intuition is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. So, it's that, gut feeling, you just know something without your logical brain registering what it is. But also too, if you want to go deeper into what is your intuition, looking at the clair. So clair means clear. So you got clair audience, so clear hearing, clair sentient, clair feeling, clair, I don't know, what's the other one? I'm having a blank. Clairseeing, clairvoyant. clairseen and claircognizant. I always cannot say that, and that is clear thinking. So that is my, and generally people have one. So I find with intuition they come through different ways through the clair. So their intuition might be a real strong feeling. It might be someone hears something, or they might get visions and just know things. Like I know for me, I just know things, and it's like things just pop in, and I'm like, and I'll say something, and I'm like, I don't know where that came from. That's a bit random. I've learned to hone into it to become aware of it, how it feels, and know the difference between my logic and my inner critic and that claircognizant as well. So intuition can come through in different ways for people. And when I say your intuition is something that's ongoing to work with, it's not just like do one workshop or watch a video or read a book and that's it. It's an ongoing progression, it's an ongoing work, it's an ongoing practice, right? And the more that you practice with it, tuning in with it, getting comfortable with it, and really recognizing how does your intuition come through to you, right? For example, Dave's a medium and he really is into the clairs and all that sort of stuff. We had a very interesting conversation a couple of months ago, and he said to me, what was the thing? I always used, and I've been doing this for 20 years and I didn't realise, I always used I feel. So I always thought I was really more clairsentient, right? And it was like, I feel this, and I feel that. And I do feel things empathically. It's taken a lot of work, especially having a Capricorn moon, to really get in touch with my emotions. It's been powerful work. But it isn't actually my strongest clair. It's not how my intuition strongly functions. It is actually, and Dave sort of said, oh, you're saying you feel, but then you know. So which one is it? And I realized what I was saying is I feel because women are emotional beings. That's how we're portrayed in society. So it was easier for me to feel more accepted by saying I feel rather than I know. I had struggled saying I know because when, you say I know something, being picked on when I was younger, know it all, and I'm definitely not. I've definitely, the older I get, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, and I don't proclaim to know everything, and I won't. But when I say I know, it's just, I intuitively know this stuff that just comes through, and the more that I've tuned into it, the more that I've honed into it, and the more that I recognize it and how it feels, and the sensations that come with it when it comes in, and just how it randomly pops in, and I've worked out how to be curious with it and ask it questions to work out, is it my intuition or is it something else? I know things. So it's quite interesting how society has really put that on, and that conditioning that when we say I know something, you come across as a know-it-all, and it's very far from that. So there is a little bit of childhood trauma there that's needed healing. So the other thing I do want to mention with your intuition isn't, because it's positive, it's not the inner critic. Your intuition won't tell you to do something bad. It can warn you against something happening, like don't go down that dark alley, don't go to your car at night, or you're at an intersection and all of a sudden you have right of way and you're about to turn, but something tells you stop, and all of a sudden a car flies through. You know what I mean? It can warn you against some things happening that aren't positive, but it won't tell you anything that tells you you're a bad person, you're terrible, you're horrible, you're not good enough, or anything like that. That is not your intuition. That is not spirit. That is the inner critic, and that is the shadow aspect of ourselves. We all have a shadow, but that is a video for another day. So really, I really want to emphasize that's one of the biggest, a big tip in knowing which one is your intuition and which one isn't, is the tone and what is said to you. So it won't come across, it'll come across as more positive, more uplifting, and in your highest good. So it's having that loving, caring, nurturing aspect that comes through, not telling you're a bad person or I'm gonna, anything like that is something else. It is not your intuition. Okay, so what are the benefits of following your intuition? Oh my goodness, it makes life so much easier. Shit is still going to happen. That is life. There is so much out of our control. But when you come from a place of leading and listening and following and taking inspired action with your intuition, life is easier. It does cut out a lot of the second guessing. It cuts out a lot of the overwhelm, the stress, the burnout, and just that mental, I find, that mental taxingness, so that, I get tired and overwhelmed. Some of the things I have here is it decreases stress, it increases creativity because you've got that inner beautiful guidance. And it also, I find too, a benefit is it gives you opportunities you didn't realize that were there. It allows you to follow your heart, so you get to do more of what lights you up in the world. It allows for a rest and digest. So it really has a beautiful impact on our nervous system when we follow our intuition, because it's coming from a heart-centered place, and it's coming from that spiritual alignment. So when we look at stress, we live in a very stressful world, and that's another video I think too more about stress, is when we're in our stressful state, is really a lot harder to tune into our intuition, because our body's in that flight, fright, freeze, fawn aspect. So it's really focused on survival. It's a survival mode. It is a necessary part of being human. We need that. However, we don't need it on as much as it is in today's society. So, when we tuned in with, so we have our stressful mode, as I call it, our survival mode, but we also have a thriving mode, which is our rest and digest, which is our parasympathetic nervous system. So this gives you a bit more of the sciencey, stuff behind all of this. So there is science behind all of this. So when you are in your rest and digest, your thriving mode, that's exactly it. You're thriving. Your body's able to rest. It's able to rejuvenate. It gives you more of that calmness, that alignment. It gives you some clarity, and it allows things to flow better. It also too, when shit does hit the fan, because this is not bypassing, shit will hit the fan, it allows you to respond more to situations, rather than from when we're in that stressful, we react. And reacting is kind of like trying to put a fire out with fuel. It only amplifies the situations, cause more stress, and you get caught in that's that cycle. Right? So following your intuition and tuning into your intuition allows you more to be more in that rest and digest state. Also too, when we are in our sympathetic nervous system, so our flight, fright and freeze, we're meant to have that. It is part of our makeup, but we're not meant to have it on as much as we do in society. And what happens is those hormones that are released are there for survival. Our digestive system shuts down, blood comes rushing back into the main organs and all that. It's to give you a boost of energy to survive however that looks for you, whether it's a flight, fright, freeze or fawn. All right, but what also happens when we have too much of those hormones being released into our system, it causes inflammation in the body. In a therapeutic dose, it's anti-inflammatory, but when we have too much of it, it's that moderation, whatever that is for everyone else. It's an individual thing, but when it's over blown out past that moderation, then it causes inflammation. And I just want to say 99.999% of all disease starts from inflammation as well. Yes, there are other factors to dis-ease in the body, but inflammation is definitely a very early stages of it. So looking at reducing those stress can really have a huge benefit. So there's a bit of science on there on following your intuition. It has really good positive effects on your nervous system. I've got here, cuts out kicking yourself in the butt. When you have those intuition, let me know, have you had those, where you have had your intuition say, say if you've got something coming up, oh, should I do A or B? And you're like, oh, I don't know, but my head's saying do A, but my intuition, my gut's saying I should do B, but we're so trained to be more logical, you go with A, then you get down the track because you've taken that action and you've done A, just to find out that you should have gone with B, and then you get more torn up, more frustrated, angry at yourself because you didn't listen to yourself. How many times have you done that? So it takes that kick in your butt and giving yourself, and then it turns into you end up taking the high five. And also to taking that B road, following your intuition, takes some guts. It takes courage to do that. It goes against the grain of society, how we've been conditioned, but it does take especially when it doesn't make logical sense, when it is, it's like jumping off a cliff and all that sort of stuff. But your intuition will always take you where you need to go, no matter what. It can help you, give you direction. It can help give you clarity. And following your intuition helps tap into your inner knowledge and wisdom. You are wiser and more knowledgeable than you give yourself credit. If you believe in past lives, I do. You've got a wealth of knowledge and wisdom just sitting there to be tapped in. Again, it's that trust. It's, and that's another video for trusting yourself. So, we're not taught to trust ourselves. So this is a great time to start working on that and really going against the whole patriarchal system. So how can you use your intuition? By making decisions, taking direction in your life. What is my next step? Again, it's an ongoing practice. It's not just a once-off workshop or a 6-month program or anything like that. It is an ongoing practice, all right? And the more that you tune into it, the stronger you build up that muscle. The more, now that I've become more aware of my clairsentient, it comes through this way. I'll get a sensation. I'll just know, and be curious. Question it too. Like, keep that curiosity. I've never left the 2-year-old but why stage. It's annoying to some people, but if I'm curious, I'll ask. And I think curious is better than assuming, and it's better to get the clarity. So, it's that inner guidance. Anyway, help make decisions, give you guidance, gain insight to things. And what are some of the things that can get in the way of your intuition? Things like stress, your inner critic. We talked about your inner critic before. Lack of sleep. I know we've got the full moon and the eclipses happening at the moment, and I've just had surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I've come off pain medication that I've been on for a fair few months. So withdrawals, my sleep pattern's all been thrown out, and it feels like I'm in a bit more of a fog. It's harder to connect with my intuition. But the more that I've tuned in and become aware of how my intuition comes through the strongest, like when I do oracle readings or working with women and all that sort of stuff, I've noticed the more that I've been doing this work, the more my other I can give readings, especially in our Autumn Crone Temple when we do monthly the Witch and the Viking dual readings, where you get a reading off both Dave and I. Sometimes I'll get a flash of an image and I'll describe the image. I can see you doing this, this, and this, and or I'll hear something, or I'll have so my mediumship will kick in and I'll have a spirit come through, or very rarely do I get smells. Sometimes I get smells. It might be more from my own experience. Like when my brother died when I was 15, I can smell baby formula. When I haven't been around babies or anything like, or formula or anything like that. It's happened less and less now, but every now and then I'll just go, hi Jack. And it's quite interesting. I've had other people smell it as well. Sometimes I'll get like, it's probably a weird one, but my mum passed when I was a teenager, and she was a smoker, so sometimes I get it like someone's just kissed me. I don't know if you've ever had someone kiss you when they're a smoker and they smell the smoke, and I'll be just like, oh, and I'm not around anywhere or anything that's got smoke or smoking or anything like that, and I'll be like, hi Mum. So it's learning these things that come through. But clairsentient is claircognizant is my strongest one. When I'm around people, sometimes I'll pick up all of a sudden, if I'm happy, I'll feel a bit anxious or depressed or anything like that. And I've learned to tune in to, is this mine? Is this theirs? So the more that you are aware of it and work with it, practice with it, more stuff you get to hone into it, and it becomes easier and all that sort of stuff. So food has an impact on what you eat. It has a huge impact, more than you realise, and especially with all the chemicals and things that are in food nowadays. There is no one diet. As a naturopath, I'll tell you, there is no one diet for all. We're all diverse. It's about listening to your body, which I'll want to do more. I've got lots of ideas of videos. I've got heaps of ideas. And also a disconnection from Mother Earth. There's a huge Mother Nature and all that sort of stuff can really get in the way of your intuition. So ways on how to hear your intuition is doing that practice in starting to believe in yourself, doing shadow work. I'm a shadow work queen. I love shadow work. It's so powerful, and I'll talk more about my journey as doing the shadow work, turning that wounds into wisdom. I'm very passionate about that. It's hard work, but it's harder to keep those traumas going, especially generational, ancestral trauma, childhood trauma, inner child work, inner goddess work, you know what I mean? So that going through and clearing all that and finding those gems in your shadows really has a huge impact on your intuition. That's a huge impact on all your life. Anyway, so this is why I keep notes, because otherwise I'd go off into massive tangents and we'd be here for hours. So some other ways is to get out in nature, put your bare feet on the earth. Science has proven this, the negative ions and the impact that it has on your body. Getting out in trees, especially the closer you are to trees and where there is more populated of trees, you know what I mean, the air is more richer and more compared to say somewhere in a city where there isn't really any trees or gardens or anything like that. So the more dense with trees, the richer the oxygen is. Another way is breathing, like deep breathe. When we get anxious, we shorten our breath, right? Even just doing that will set off the flight, fright, freeze, the stress response. So deep breathing helps you. And when you focus on your deep breathing and your breath, it brings you into the present moment. So instead of being too far in the future, too far in the back, or just scattered elsewhere, when we come back to our breath, it really allows us to come and be in the present moment. Meditation, and there's so many ways to meditate too. So it's not just sit in a lotus position. I can't even do that myself. Whether it's listening to music, whether it's dancing, meditation is about switching that mind and really tuning in. So it could be things like cooking for you. If that helps you to get in your zone and get creative and all that sort of stuff, do that. It could be reading. It could be. It's really about tuning in and what feels good for you and allows you to feel good. Journaling, I'm a journal lover. Like seriously, I've been doing it since I was a little girl. Also too, if you go on our website www.autumncrone.com, and you'll see there is a free grimoire. So Autumn Crone Grimoire. So grimoire is like a collection of spells, but it's also like for us it's a collection of our work, and in there we have a journaling to hear your intuitive whispers. So I find journaling is powerful. I find it's like a therapy. In all the things that I've studied, especially like naturopathy, herbalism, I've done life coaching, I'm just about finished counseling. Journaling is all in there. Journaling really can help to process, to come through, to reveal, to let go, to transmute. Energy is so deep within, like it is such a powerful tool. So that's why in the grimoire it's a free it is free, the grimoire. You just sign up through your newsletter and you'll get an email with the password to access it in there. There is meditations in there. So a really powerful meditation I love to share is about calling back your energy. It's less than 5 minutes. And you can, I think with that one, you can really to start off, do the I think it's like 4 minutes and something, so under 5 minutes. Really do that, and then you can use that meditation then to shrink it down to, like sometimes I'll just nick off to the toilet and go, all right, I'm feeling ungrounded, call back my energy. Just call it all back in, call it back in, call it back in. Okay, I'm right now. So, when you practice that, you can actually shorten that to make it more easier and more accessible and simple. But you can go through, there is a guidebook on journaling, different ways, benefits, when, how, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of prompts there as well to get you started. And I have a video going through it. There's also a video that I go through and share how I journal and diary and how I work all of mine as well. There is also a journal booklet too as well. So if you don't have a book, you can print out those ones, and there's journal sheets in there as well. And there was a few other meditations as well, and I can't remember them right off my top of my head. So that is a free resource if you'd like to jump on. And then you get our monthly newsletters, which I've just started. I'm so proud of myself to do the technical side. Dave helped as well, so it was really awesome. So they yeah, with the newsletter is more about giving you a recap what's happening in Autumn Crone, like video updates or podcast, or we have a free Intuitive Priestess community on Facebook as well, so I like to connect in there, have some posts, as well as just a great way to connect, because we have the Autumn Crone Temple, which is a paid membership, where we do all this deep dive work, spiritual practices. We have Women's Circle, we have Mediumship Circle, monthly wisdom focus circles, and all that kind of juicy stuff. So join up, and then with those newsletters, I'm going to do card readings in there as well. So lots of different things in there. So that can be a great way if you really want to start getting more aligned to your spiritual practice and connecting with your intuition and all that sort of stuff. Sign up to our newsletter, get into the grimoire, and that is a great way to get started. There's things like invocations, spells, but then another big one is follow what lights you up as well. And be curious. Don't be stagnant. Really get curious and ask those questions. Why am I feeling this way? Why is that coming up? And why did I react to that situation? And sometimes, like when I do get a clairsentient download, I will go, oh, was that me? But because I've questioned it for so many years now, when it comes through, I know instantly if it's a download, because it just pops in randomly. I wasn't even thinking about it. And it has a certain feeling about it. It's more of a light feeling. So the more you learn to listen to your body as well, as much as if you really want to do the spiritual practices and that, you're listening to your body is really, really important as well. All right, so what does intuition mean to you? How does your intuition come through? Let us know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, do all that kind of funny thing. Come join our Intuitive Priestess community. It's free on Facebook. If you go to our website, www.autumncrone.com, you'll see there's in the menu bar, there's those things. You can find out about the temple, you can find out about the community, you can find out about the free grimoire. So that's kind of where all the stuff is at. All right, gorgeous goddesses, I hope this helped, and I look forward to connecting more with you in the future. Lots of love and magical goddess blessings. Bye.